And we're live.
No one wants to do intro?
Yeah. Wow, we went from 0 to 5 viewers like
All right.
that. Interesting. I was going to say hello, negative audience.
So we are here with the infamous sounds cooler, but famous is
does sound cooler.
Infamous Paul Munko.
Infamous.
Infamous.
There you go.
That sounds weird.
Awesome, man. Excited to be here. Excited to be here, as always.
Great to see you again, man. How you been?
Been good, man. Been super busy. Just got back from Blade Show and moved into this new place at the exact same time. So it's been a little craziness around here, but really good time. It was cool to be able to debut this at Blade Show. Honestly, like it was so much fun. I love being able to meet people and just get some instant feedback on it. It seemed like something that people were pretty excited about. So
that was a really great idea too. That was all you. You were like, hey, how about we debut at Blade Show? I was like, oh shit, it never even occurred to me.
I figured might as well, you know, because it was. Yeah,
well, you were right. Like, I mean, where else would you possibly debut a knife?
Right.
Maybe Blade Show would be a good idea.
I was thinking like, what is it called? Not the AutoZam, the huge auto show they have every year.
You want to debut a knife in an auto show?
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Sweet.
It's like, where else can we do it? Auto show.
So we talked a little bit off camera, but I purposely did not ask you, like, what was your experience like at Blade Show? That's got to be, I mean, especially, so how many years have you had a booth now?
So this was my second year exhibiting, third year going. The first year I went, I just, took it all in, networked with a bunch of people, and I was just like, I need to set up shop next year. Not really with the purpose of like selling things, but I just love meeting people. And so it's always cool to have people come to the table and just be like, oh yeah, like, like there's some people who like pull a knife out of their pocket. They're like, hey, yeah, look what I'm carrying. It's the Comet or something. And it's really cool. So second year exhibiting, definitely gonna be exhibiting next year. And it was a ton of fun. I mean, every year so far, granted I have a small sample size, it's been getting better and better. Yeah,
very cool. So you have what's the newest one you have out? Now, and I might be wrong because we don't talk as often, but is the Constellation your newest design out?
No, actually. So right before Blade Show,
the Quazar is the newest one.
Quazar, exactly.
Quazar is the newest one. Okay.
This guy. So
there we go.
This is my favorite version of it.
There we go.
Because, I like the Timascus one too, just because I'm a sucker for Timascus and I just always love it. But this one's really cool because it has like they did some cool like bronzing accents to the hardware, and the carbon fiber it's marble, but it's fat carbon, so it actually glows like under if you charge it with a light or UV light or whatever. So we did like 8 different variations of this one, which is the most I've ever done during a drop. Like when the Mystic came out, there was one. So it's so many flavors this time around.
What is this one called again?
This is the Quazar.
Quazar.
I went back and looked at I want to say like the map on the Quazar goes somewhere between like 165 and 372 or 272 or something like that, depending on how you option it out.
Even less. So there's 2 or 3. I think there's 2 G10 versions, or there's one G10, one my Conrad ones. Those ones are like 110, I think. So pretty. So
it spreads all the way up to the Timascus version with 20 CV for like 272.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Timascus 372. These ones I think are like just under 300 with the 20 CV and not Timascus. And then there's JG10. There's a red G Carta, red and black.
The steel on these things.
20 CV. They also don't they do a Damasteel version as well, I think?
So it's not Damasteel, it's Concepts proprietary Damascus, which is still really cool. And it's still stainless, still performs really well. Yeah. And that one they did with like the lightning strike,
I didn't necessarily mean Damasteel as a brand name. I was just trying to.
So it's
it's
the same, essentially, same formula, different copyrighted name.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna do Damascus, that's how you got to do it, right?
That I'm not sure, but. Whatever it is, I've been using it, and I've been kind of putting it through the ringer. Just I've been curious. I've never actually had a Damascus knife from Concept, and it seems to be holding up. So definitely cool.
My real question, and this is the stupidest one so far.
Can't wait.
When are you gonna come out with the Quaalude edition of the Quazar?
The Quaalude?
Maybe that's our next mod project.
Big old credit card blade or like a high chopper.
No, it's
so
gonna
you
look
can
like
do-
a Lamborghini Countach, and the blade's gonna be shaped like a Tylenol or some shit.
I was just thinking like a chopper blade, so you get a nice straight edge.
Oh man.
Have we missed any comments? What's
We
up, Paul?
sure have.
All
So
right.
we've got Luminous Dave.
We appreciate you joining us here.
We got Casey coming in. We do have Luminous Dave asking, how did the name ColorfulFilth come about?
Oh yeah, it's a goddamn good name though.
That is a really good question, and I gotta actually think about that because so I was like really getting into digital art. Before I was really into digital art, I was working on a lot of like ink drawings and things, and I kind of like immediately gravitated towards this really vibrant style. Like I'll just grab it. There's like a
Well, so much of your artwork includes, like bright colors.
Yeah, right. This is super weird stuff, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
it's out there. But I was doing some of the artwork, and then I made a few of them, and I was like, hey, you know what? I want to like make an Instagram and start actually posting this stuff. Maybe people will like it, maybe people won't, but at least I can kind of keep a catalog. And the name literally just came up when I was trying to think of a username that wasn't taken. And I was like, how do I describe my stuff? Okay, it's colorful.
The Mr. Beast school of picking a name.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, okay, colorful. Yeah, it's colorful. It's kind of gross. Filth is like close to gross, right? So,
Yeah.
colorful.
No, I dig it. I get it 100%.
I always thought it was kind of like, I don't know, grindcore is kind of what it reminds me of. And it's super colorful, so I assumed it was just like a amalgamation of
Yeah,
that.
and you're not afraid of color in your designs, which is what I think really lends to like when we do these projects. It's like you really take advantage of the spectrum of color that we can do with anodizing, which is on one hand infuriating, but on the other hand, I wouldn't have it any other way. You know what I mean? Because you're kind of pushing the limits of what we can do with the anodizing, and I think that's perfect. You know what I mean? It's like it forces us to be better every project, and it forces the people who are trying to catch us. It forces them to have to figure it out on their own. You know what I mean? And if you don't have a looming project of 150 dimes you got to figure out, it's hard to find the motivation to figure that out. But if you're like, I don't have a choice, we better figure this the fuck out. It pushes what we're doing like so much further. The same way you do it with when you do all the detail. It's like you were like, I don't know how much detail to include, and it's like to just do as much as you want, and then it's then I'll figure it out. And like the amount of detail you put into this is like what I can actually get onto the knife doesn't do your artwork justice. I get as close as I can.
The newest one is quite interesting.
I still can't believe that though.
The newest one, man, I'm telling you, I almost had a midlife crisis trying to get that comic book.
We're not muted,
dot
but it's going to
matrix
play.
color.
There we go.
You know how you want to do the explosions in like almost like a dot matrix style?
Yep.
My God, that took me just doing the explosion on the front of the knife and getting the anodization to work correctly. I'm still not 100% happy with it, but eventually I had to stop. I think I had probably 2 days in just that explosion, getting it as close as I could. But that's like that's the cool part about it is that you push it like that.
And I think it's so cool that you're able to like figure it out. Like I love how you added like this sort of like dot effect that I didn't like the actual like hand-drawn version of it, because it's very comic booky. Like it kind of feels like it has that specific aesthetic to it, and it worked out so well with the Ano. And then I know you guys
I think my comment was mid-'80s G.I. Joe.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much. And then it's so cool too with this one, because like I love when I'm thinking of like how to use Cerakote, with the exception of the black. Like it's cool because it kind of allows us to hit on some of those colors that like we can't anodize, right? Because like you can't anodize titanium red. I think aluminum you can, but not titanium.
Yeah.
So being able to still have those accents on here because of the the benefits of Cerakote and like that subtle kind of red splatter that's not blood, it's more like explosions, but on the blade, like it's just crazy how you guys are able to figure out how to take that stuff. That I do like consciously think of what is possible, but I do also think, all right, let's let's try this. You know,
well, and that's what I like about it, because red is obviously impossible with Cerakoting, and orange. If you would have asked me 4 years ago, can you do orange? I'd be like, no. But it's like when you mess with it long enough, it's like, okay, I can get something that presents as orange when it's compared to the other colors next to it. So when you do orange, I'm like, oh, figured that out on this knife. So we just go, and so I'll literally bring up, when you go to colors, I'll bring up old stuff that we've done and look at how I've written it out and how because I keep notes on everything, and I change the program accordingly, and I'll go back and be like, okay, so I need this color. How did I get that color before? And I'll go back and I'll look. It's like, oh, it's this many volts and it's this amount of time, and it just becomes.
We should really use the internal wiki for all this shit.
Well,
so it's just dumped there.
And I thought it would get easier, and so like matching colors does get easier, but your level of detail and how you push what we're doing with it, that just keeps making it harder. And it's not a complaint. Like that's part of it. You know what I mean? Like that's what makes it cool.
Hell yeah. No, I love it. I love the way that, like, looking at, like, especially this helicopter, because it's like relatively small. You're not gonna see it here, but like there's so much little. There's just a bunch of little things happening there.
I have to say, like, I mean, we have everything on the table right now. The backside scale of this bailout is probably one of my favorite scales we've ever done, period. Like, just it's and this one, I don't know how. It had to be just luck of the draw. When I ran the first prototype of it, it came out and it worked. And I was like, holy shit. Like, that's my favorite, and it worked. Like, it's literally one of the favorite things we've ever done is that backside scale. Just the way you designed it, the explosions, like all the detail in it. That's one of my favorite parts of any of the projects we've ever done.
What of all the ones we've done, which scale specifically, not even knife, but scale, do you think was the hardest to like get to work?
Spidey Chef. No, actually, the Quaken.
No, well, okay. No, here's what I'll say is I'll say that which should not be named ZT. And the reason why is because you did something that you do with the Kaiser is you'll follow handle contours.
Right.
And what I didn't realize until you started doing that is not all handles are made the same. They might look the same, but when a laser is making the decision, they are not the fucking same. And so, like, this line is off by 1/10 of a millimeter, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you hand it to somebody, they can immediately see it.
Right.
So following the contours, and the ZT, you went hard in the paint following the contours on that ZT, and it was a nightmare. And then when I finally got it all done and I started doing the runs to make the prototypes, then to find out that the titanium wouldn't anodize uniformly, it was such a letdown. I had so much time in that knife and was really excited for it. And the fact that it's like, oh, ZT 562, that's gonna be the shit. Oh yeah, I can't wait. And to not have that project worked out, it was like the letdown of all letdowns. But that was the hardest. Second would be the bailout front scale, and it's because of that explosion.
Yeah. How many goes did it get, or did it take for you to get this dialed in?
So I'm getting pretty good at it. So I think I ruined 4 bailouts before I got the first scale done, and I ruined 1 bailout before I got the back scale done. So 5 fuck ups before I could actually get a prototype in hand.
That's pretty good, honestly.
Which is pretty good.
Again, though.
Yeah, it's bead blast and start. Since we have a Cerakote boot, we just bring it downstairs. Acetone it, bead blast it, re-Cerakote it, bring it back up, try again. So it's not like they disappear into the ether. We can save them with a few exceptions. Demcos, I generally got 1, maybe 2 shots at a Demco before it wouldn't take the anodization correctly.
That's because there's really no Cerakote on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Which doesn't hide the imperfections. Like if you were to take one of these bailouts that you burned up, right, and it didn't have Cerakote on it, there'd be ghosting everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense. No, I think, even like looking at the prototype, just seeing how clean everything is on this one, it's pretty crazy, man. It's really crazy. And you got to give a shout out too to Lynch for making such a great platform for this. Like, I don't think it could have.
I can't say enough about. I don't talk to Mr. Lynch super often, but I do talk to Thomas, who's his head of basically runs the office and their sales arm. So
Careful, don't piss up Casey.
Oh, Casey does the designs, and he's the head of the company, he's the face of the company, and then he's got engineering gentleman who I really should remember his name because he actually makes the drawings happen. But I don't talk to him super often. I think he had the most Irish name I had heard in a long time. And then Thomas is the one who I usually interface with, and he does all of their contacts and sales and everything else, and a lot of their logistics. And they're just, it blows my mind. They're like 6 people, 7 people,
and they were
phenomenal
to work with. Yeah, on the pry bar, they were so great to work with. I think this is the fastest project we've ever completed ever. Like I think they delivered the actual pry bars before sales were even done. They were just like, here, done. We're like, how the fuck? And without them, this bailout wouldn't be possible. I mean,
100%.
A titanium bailout from Benchmade. Do they even still sell them? It was $600 was MAP.
Yeah.
And to be able to, and Lynch being like, yeah, we worked on some prototypes for bailout scales, and we just kind of never went through with it. And we're like, what if we were to buy them? Okay, screw it. So they made 10 prototypes, sent them over, made 10 prototypes. So it's like, I think after this project is done, you'll actually be able to buy them from Lynch. But until that happens, the only way to get them is through this project.
Also, they told us 3 months on the first 140. They're in the mail.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be 90 days for delivery on the first 140 scales. We're like, all right, well, then let's order them now. And then they went from, so over the course of a week, they went from, it'll be 90 days to, we're shipping them next week. And it's like, what in the fuck? Okay. All right. I guess.
And actually, we figured out how to get one more out of there. So you got 141.
141?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Hell yeah. No, they're awesome. I got to talk to them a little bit at Blade Show too. They stopped by the table, and it's just so cool how supportive they are of the projects. And like, literally, yeah, like this wouldn't be possible, like you said, without it. And it couldn't be better. You know, it's just pure utilitarian. It's flat. It worked perfectly for the modifications that we had to do to it. It's awesome. I'm super stoked about it.
We do have one comment here. What about those stickers? And all I got to say is that they're on order. I already ordered them. We have enough for the first batch of scales coming in. And yeah, they'll go out with the knives.
I haven't even seen the sticker. I think I was out of town when you finalized it, so I don't think I've actually even seen the sticker.
It's the dude jumping out of the helicopter.
I know what it
cut
is.
off.
I just haven't actually seen. But anyway,
yeah,
all right,
yeah, they'll be cool. They were. I had a few of them available at Blade Show for people to check out, and yeah, no, people love them. I hope that I start to see them on like random boxes and stuff.
Yeah, we can get our hands on them. We'll put them all over.
What's up, man?
Yeah. Fell in love with the moment I saw it. The PM2 is great, but something about the colors in this one is so cool.
I agree. I think
I will say this. When we were at the show, people really gravitated towards the Demco, I think because it was so vibrant. But I think there's definitely something to be said about how much more the color stands out when it has like the black accents around it, like the sky, like the bug out. Like it just makes the colors and all the details pop and feels almost like, I don't know if cinematic is the right word for it, but it just feels
sounds super nerdy, but that's why the original animated Batman series was so great. Is because they drew all the animation on black paper.
Interesting.
So it was what they drew showed, and everything else was just shadows, right, and blackness, which I thought was kind of cool. And that's kind of how you're starting to lean into artwork, and it does kind of like Goldblum draws the eye.
That's really interesting because one of the things that I actually started.
You've never heard that?
No, I've never heard that. Sorry, go ahead.
One of the things I started to do with physical artwork, physical as in not on my iPad, is getting black paper and coloring with like white pencil, and just because it totally makes you think differently about, like you said, like shadows. It's like instead of shading shadows, I'm avoiding shadows and I'm trying to color in the highlights and stuff. And it definitely adds a different level of like contrast and visual interest to it. So I mean, maybe that'll even be something cool to explore on whatever we do for the next one. Is like, how can we make the most of like that negative space? That could be cool. But
I remember I had to do an art project in college, and it was basically like, it was, I don't know if it was paper, I don't remember what it was, but it was something like, or like really thin, like aluminum or steel, but it was coated in black. And the whole project was an X-Acto knife, and you take away the black to reveal the picture that you want it to be.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah. And
it's really cool.
Yeah, I really liked it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of like, that's almost what this bailout feels like, is you push away the black to reveal the vibrant and cool picture underneath. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's super cool.
Comic book for this one?
There is not a book, but there is this really awesome. This actually had a bunch of funny comments at Blade Show.
Yeah.
Let's see if that's that is
remove self from play.
I had people come up to me and just be like, "Can I just buy the tag?" So you get a really cool flight tag, and also the stickers and things with it as well.
Yeah. So I think. Do we have it set up where it's it comes with one slightly smaller, and the larger one you can buy in addition if you want? Do we have it set up that way?
We do not.
No, we do not.
No, I was notified after we sold the first 70.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So maybe we can let everybody know if they would like another one. I think cost on them with shipping is like $5. So I think maybe we should make it available to anybody who wants one. They can have one for $5.
Now there is something to be said with the flight tag that comes with it. It is smaller, but it's made from end to end from U.S. materials, and it's completely made in upstate New York.
Yeah.
So it is 100% U.S. made. So if the flight tag that will come with it, including the knife and the scales and the titanium, is from end to end entirely made in the United States. And the materials are also entirely sourced within the United States as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we just did that to avoid tariffs.
No, 100%.
No, we really did.
It just kind of clicked that way. Usually it's like there's one small piece that we have to get from like Taiwan or China or Germany, and this one just kind of clicked together.
I will say finding titanium screws for the one titanium screw in the explosion is not easy, but we'll get it figured out. Luckily, we have a backstop of them, so the problem is they're long, so we have to like physically go in and shorten all of them and like chamfer the ends and buff them and everything to get them to work. But I mean, that's an us problem, not a buyer problem.
I'm going to give a shout out to Chuk here. He's on a hunting trip right now, in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, and he just said, awesome.
And decided to tune in.
Decided to tune in.
Thank you very much, Chuk. We really appreciate that.
Chuk's the man.
Everybody check out Chuk's Outdoor Adventure. If you found us, you definitely know who Chuk is. He's a much bigger channel than we are.
Hell yeah.
Henry T is apparently under Discord.
I did. I think it was in the... I don't remember if it was either the Nick Shabazz one or it was the Reddit Knife Club one, but I did give a little sneak preview of that like a couple days before Blade, and that's cool. That's awesome that you're in here, man. I appreciate you joining.
We got Casey coming in here. Is that our Casey or a different Casey?
I wouldn't think it's our Casey, but it very well could be.
I'm thinking LYNCH.
Oh, I'm not.
Are we going to see a ColorfulFilth and Lynch clip design?
Why would he be asking? He would just be offering.
Yeah, no, that would be weird. Yeah.
That would be interesting. Yeah, no, their clips are awesome. Did we use one of their clips on something?
We have not actually used their clip on anything yet. The reason being is that
we were talking about it though.
We were talking
about it on this project.
They do a modular clip that they really wanted to include with this, but it would bump it.
I think it bumps the price by $35. It would put us over 400 where we didn't want to be.
Yeah, it made it.
Nothing against the product itself. It's very much worth it. It's very well built.
Yeah.
What it does is it replaces the backspacer. So there's a full custom milled, made in America titanium backspacer with a clip that bolts to the ass end and comes around, which would be perfect to preserve the artwork. But the problem is it bumped us over 400, and we really didn't want to be over 400 for this project.
And they called it modular because the actual clip itself bolts to the base that protrudes out of the. So you put a new ass end into it, and then you've got this mounting plate that bolts to the scale of the knife, and then the clip bolts to that.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
it was kind of a cool idea because that means you could just buy the mounting plates for 5 or 6 different knives, and you can move that clip between knives with that art pattern and everything. That's all that shows.
Yeah.
That
So you
is
could have a custom
really cool.
anodized and a bunch of other stuff. And
It's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And I like it a lot. And we have a prototype. I squirreled it away so it didn't disappear.
Yeah.
So we have a prototype. Had we known about it at the outset of the project and being able to kind of fucking work it into what we were doing, it probably would have been possible. But when we found out about it after the fact, it was like, shit, we can't quite backtrack the project enough to fit it in and make it work. But now that we know it exists, anyway, now that we know it exists, maybe it's a future thing.
There's always the next one.
I mean, you could always contact Lynch and be like, yo, let's make some art.
Hell yeah. Are the colors and artistic
I'm just reading the comment.
intentional?
We actually have a good one from Carol here. Are the colors and artistic design challenge international for you and Mike?
Intentional.
Oh, intentional. God. I don't have a glasses. Leave me alone.
You know, I will say, yeah, definitely. Because I feel like every time we do one, we're kind of
Priscilla.
stepping it up, right? Like we're definitely stepping it up and trying new things. And so every time I say, okay, you know, this worked for this project, it's like, okay, so how do we go crazier this time? And I think you definitely accomplished that with, again, that sort of like dot work that you did in the Ano and like the explosions. Yeah. There's all these like little lines of explosion, I guess. And but you fucking crushed it. Like it's just so cool. And I think it keeps it fun that way, right? It's because like if we kept doing things to the same caliber every single time, eventually it's gonna get stale. And I feel like every time that I'm coming up with some sort of art piece for these things, I try to like bring it closer and closer to like how would I draw something if it was purely meant to be like on paper. Yeah. You know, more detail, more color, more weirdness sometimes.
I like to do that. Like I think that's the point. You know what I mean? Is like, I even tell you, like, I remember when we first started doing them, it's like, I'd be like, man, I don't mean to critique the art, but like, I don't know if I can do this, so I need to change this. And so like the whole point when we do this is like, don't change anything. Like I should never have to come back to you and say, can we change this? Because you never want to go to the artist and be like, can you change your artistic vision? That's the worst possible thing you could do. And so, and I like that and every time we do one, I'm like, oh, because I learned something new on every one. And I'm always like, okay, now I got to figure it out. The next one's going to be easy. And it never fucking is. It's never easy. It's always different. But that's what makes, you know what I mean? Like, that's what makes it so that there's a reason nobody else is doing this, because it's fucking hard. And if you want it to be good, it needs to be hard every single time.
Right. And I think it's crazy too, like even looking back at the first one with the Kaiser, like the fact that we were able to accomplish that. I don't even remember how many of those we made. Was it like 5?
Like 10 or 15 or something like that. It was not a
like
lot.
Very low amount, but like
we made 7.
We made 7, so it was 15 of these. So it was 7, 15, 100.
I think the Spidey Chef was 173.
No, because I own the first one and the last one.
Oh, okay.
And they are number 1 and number 100.
Okay. I remember we bought out all of North America's supply.
And also, I have I sometimes I squirrel away some of these because I don't know, I'm the one making them. Fuck them. And so like I'll hide them at home.
Then the Bugout was almost 3 times as much.
Yeah.
The PM2 was
mid 2s, 240, 250.
It was
there.
fantastic.
Yeah.
We did 100 of the pry bars.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many Demcos we did.
I want to say 170 something.
Yeah.
Around in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our price range has definitely gone up market, which means lower sales, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's just the way it goes honestly, with everything going on.
Yeah,
totally. But honestly, like it's so cool to see the support, and like even when people aren't able to pick them up, like just seeing like the comments that come through, and people are just all excited about like what the concept is next, because we always try to tie the theme of the artwork into like the name or the identity of the knife, right? So it's fun to like pick knives that people are enthusiastic about tie-in artwork, and then like this just the overall like camaraderie about the whole thing, and just people being excited about it is so much fun. So
there is something to be said about like seeing them in pictures online and then actually seeing them in store. You know what I mean? Like we have a display case where we have I think at least 2 of everything except for the Kaiser. We have 2 of everything in the display case, you know, both sides showing, and all the time we had to put a sticker on there, you know what I mean? A label that says, these are prototypes, they are not for sale, please stop asking. Yeah. Every time, like, how much for that one? It's like, it is not for sale. It doesn't have a price tag. Like, if you would like, this one's currently for sale, you can go buy that one, but otherwise you're going to eBay and you're going to pay 4 times as much than it cost initially. But it's hard to convey to someone who's never seen one in person or doesn't own one, like how different they are to just hold. And you can see, like, that's why anytime I send you, like, when I think I've figured something out, and I always send you something like, hey, how does this look for the artwork? I always send video. I never send a picture because pictures don't do them justice. You know, you have to get them like near the sunlight, and you have to go across, you know what I mean? So you see how it plays, and when you move it around in your hand, just how the pictures and the intricacy of the artwork that you do is how it, you know, how it's so different in person. You can't, it's not the same on a monitor. It's not the same on a monitor.
It's so true. And it's cool too, because like the same comments were said at Blade Show, is because so the first year at Blade Show, the ones that I know I can't replace if something happens, which is everything but the one that's currently available. I don't let people touch them.
I mean, text me afterwards, we'll figure something out.
I don't let people touch them because I just want to keep them, you know, I like having them on display, but those ones are like in a glass case on my table. But this was the first time I was like, hey, here's the prototype for the one that is available now. And like just seeing people have the same feedback of like, whoa, like this is like so trippy in person, because it is vastly different. Even from you know, a video is better than a photo, in person is better than a video. And it is really something that you just need to like be able to look at and like tangibly feel, like the fact that there's no transitions between anything. Like it's crazy. So,
well, and especially too when, like, I mean, you could take a picture, a macro picture close up, and it's big on your monitor, and you see all the lines and all the little details. But until you have it in your hand, you realize, like, without perfect vision or you know, a manual aid, like all those little details you see on the screen, you can't actually see those details in person. That's how small they are. You know what I mean? Until you hold it and you're like, oh shit, this cross hatching that I saw big on the monitor, when you hold it away, it makes it look like shadowing, like a real, you know what I mean? It's a wholly different thing to hold it in your hand and see the actual scale of the pictures that you're seeing when you see them online.
Absolutely.
And that's why I always like that you're like, how much detail can I put in? I was like, just do it all and I'll do whatever. I'll recreate everything I can, but don't hold back on my sake.
We got the Palm Pilot. I was going to say, we got the Palm Pilot 3G coming in here saying, loving everything about this one. As an 80s gamer, I love the style. Yeah. Nice. Actually, you know what? Metal Slug kind of reminds me of this a bit.
Metal Slug, I can see that.
Yeah.
I love that.
We had a recommendation from someone who I wouldn't ignore. I mean, but and he said what is it? What's the Lambo?
Countach?
Yeah, the Countach Spidey Chef that we did.
Oh, yeah, the Outrun one?
Yes. So what's that whole vibe called?
Outrun.
No.
Vaporwave.
God damn, I couldn't come up with Vaporwave. He's like, how about a Vaporwave one next? I was like, I'm not the artist, but I like the idea.
You know, I've definitely thought about that, and I would be totally open to it, because I love that look of, like, it's always like, you know, pink, purple, blue. Luckily, all colors that are probably pretty easy to anodize. And I've done some paintings actually that have been kind of in that realm. And the way that I did I'll have to find it. It's somewhere in the apartment and like send a picture to you guys. It's cool because there's the art itself, the actual painting is like, you know, it's those colors. But then also with what we do with Cerakote, I did like a lot of like splatters of like the pink and the blue, and it just makes this really dynamic kind of like, there's like movement to it. So I would be completely open to that. I think it's an awesome aesthetic.
I mean, we got to keep pushing it, but I think the idea of like, well, because Vaporwave almost seems like a little bit of a cop out in the way of anodizing, because all Vaporwave colors are anodizable. There's I'm not having to figure out how to make something visually look orange. You know what I mean? It's all easy, which means you got to push it with the colors with the Cerakote, which makes it that much harder to recreate and that much, and that much more custom, because especially when doing the Cerakote, like that's the cool thing about the bug out is like with the galaxy pattern on there, that means very literally no two bug outs are the same because the pattern is random and is generated artistically.
I mean, for Vaporwave, it'd have to be an auto.
Not 50 state legal.
Well, I mean, if you get caught with it, that's not on us.
It's a piece of art. It's not a weapon.
It's a piece of art.
Yeah. Now let me wipe the blow off real quick. Okay, no, it's definitely a piece of art.
Yeah. No, it would have to be something that's like retro future, which to me would be an out the front. Anyway, sorry, just random thought.
Hey, Paul, for your next knife design, can you do titanium scales so we can just use one of yours?
I would love to do that. And you know what's so funny? I might go off on a little bit of a tangent right now.
Let's make life easier.
Yeah.
I might go on like a tiny bit of a tangent. I have been trying so hard to like figure out how to make Munko knives and ColorfulFilth cohesive, because like it's so funny at blade shows. Like a ton of people will come up to me and just be like, "Oh, you're like the same guy." Like, "Oh, I didn't know that." There's this huge disconnect between both like brands, even though they're just me, but like one is art and it's weird and filth, and the other one is just like knife designs.
Well, if you go to Munko Knives, it's all there.
Right. Right. Exactly. But like, and I've been thinking like, what is like how do I make these connect? And it's like the super obvious crossover is like do art on one of my knives.
Yeah.
Like that's it. But
make no mistake, it's not that we're avoiding using your knives, but like every time, like even that's how I knew like the Constellation, the Quazar came out. It's like, ooh, did he do a titanium one? Because we can just use his knife.
I know, and it's crazy because like the thing is, a big part of my design language is bolsters. So that kind of screws us, right? Unless we were to do so. Actually, the Quazar, that version that they have with the titanium. Not the Damascus, but like the lightning anno, like that means there technically is titanium scales in the bolster, so that could be possible. But there actually is. Did you guys see the one that I did? It's with a new company. It's called Orbital Knives. The model's called the Fornax.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's Orbital. Is that the name of the company?
Yeah. Orbital Knives.
Yeah.
So that one's full titanium frame lock, but there's some contours on it that I feel like might make the actual space we could do art on like really narrow, but we could maybe do that too.
I mean, we can at least play with it. I mean, in fact, I looked up the Fornax just like a couple days ago. I was going to order one, see if I could play around with it a little bit, but it wasn't available at the time, and I don't want to pay retail. No offense.
I'm going to say,
if I buy a wholesale, you still get the kickback. So it's like, if that's your pocket, I'm just trying not to take money out of my own pocket.
So the speed hole inlay in this knife.
The Fornax? Yeah. I actually like that. They did that on the ZT308.
How do they?
Similar. That's very cool.
Is it bolted in on the back, or like how does that work?
Yeah, there's screws on the back.
Okay. So it's the Fornax, and what we're going to do is we're going to be good host.
We're going to throw up a picture of it. Well, man. Yeah. Dude, those are some fat ass fingers, dude. That was a lot of shit spelled wrong.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
All right. So
can we share this?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we totally can share a screen. Ba-ba-dum. It's easier when you got a normal thing and you can see.
How a mouse is useful.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, there we go. There's a Fornax. All right.
Right.
So that's fairly recent though too, isn't it?
Yeah, that was also the beginning of this year. So this year so far, I've released the Mini Mystic, the Fornax, and the Quazar.
Okay. So can I ask an inside baseball question? You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but like from the time you sketch that to the time you get one in your hand, what's the timeline like?
It's a good question. So I've never totally thought about it, but I want to say I think probably from all the ones I've done, anywhere between like 3 to 6 months for a prototype. But then Yeah, so it could be pretty quick, but then the prototype, there's revisions. We go back and forth with new sketches and things after. I actually really want to get a 3D printer just to make it easier for the people I work with, but I don't have one yet.
So you rent? Do you 3D rent? So do you submit any of your designs in 3D render, or do you sketch?
They're all drawings. Yeah, so I have familiarity with like 3D sculpting. I've done stuff with like ZBrush and Mudbox to do like more stuff that would be used in like video games. But I don't have a ton of experience with things that are like specific measurements. So I do my best to draw things to scale and kind of collaborate with those companies to help me figure out, hey, like, I know it looks like in your illustration it'll close properly, but there actually is like a little bit of overhang or something, and they help me kind of put the small details.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I'd say like probably between prototyping and like hitting the market is usually about 8 months to a year, probably closer to a year in most instances.
So like the Quazar's been bouncing. So to us, the Quazar's brand new, but to you, the Quazar's 18 months old.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that one's probably about a year. The prototype, and there was the biggest change with the Quazar was there was no forward finger choil originally. It was kind of just like straight down.
Yeah.
The prototypes are in a box somewhere, but and what I actually did was I sent photos of the prototype to just a couple of the Discord groups that I'm in, and they're like, "Oh man, like that looks like it would be so good to be able to just like choke up on that and get." And then I started playing with that idea. I love going to like people and seeing what they think, and that's why I love having prototypes at Blade Show so much too, is because you get a lot of really good feedback about like. My hand's one size, so what feels great to me might feel like total shit to someone else. So it's nice to know.
We always call it, and like I know this sounds offensive, but we don't really mean it that way. But we always call it like going to the dorks, dude. You got to find the dorks, and the dorks are going to tell you all the little intricate details that you need to know to make it that mass appeal. You know what I mean? It's like just any old regular dude who's carried a buck 110 his whole life doesn't give a shit about the ergonomics on your access lock or how smooth it opens. It's you got to find the dorks.
I feel personally attacked right now.
I mean, you were the first dork we used to bounce shit off of, and I don't mean it like that, but it's like, but that's what it is.
I like tools though. Yeah.
And so like even small things like a choil, like our hunting knife. None of our knives have a choil. And that's a choice I made for reasons I won't get into, but it's like, but if you go to the dorks want a choil because they sharpen themselves and they want a nice clean end point for their sharpening. So and so they call it a sharpening choil, not just a choil. And so it's like you got to make concessions for mass appeal. And if a guy wants to spend $750 on a wicked edge sharpener and sharpen your knife, it's like he's not going to buy it if you don't have a choil, and you might not like it, but you're taking a stand on a hill that makes no sense to die on. Like, why not just add it? Because you don't like it? Well, who gives a shit? Other people do. It's a stylistic choice.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is just the materials used in the knife, right? Their wicked edge is just going to wear down to a goddamn stump when you use properly heat-treated M390. Like, it's just, it's not going to happen. But, and then, like you're skinning out a deer or something like that, and you've got a little choil to catch things on. That fucking sucks.
But I mean, and then you look across even like Demco. Like Demco, obviously, Demco doesn't like choils, but he made a conscious decision to pacify the dorks. Because if you look at, I mean, this will not come across on camera, but if you could possibly see how small that sharpening choil is on that knife, like it is the smallest thing he could possibly get away with without doing a choil.
I've already blown right through it.
Yeah. But if you look at PM2, which is Spyderco's best-selling knife, no choil. Yeah. No sharpening choil. They don't give a fuck.
But the way they do the whole flat grind, separated by whatever the hell this thing's called.
Agreed. It's a novel way of solving the problem.
It's a novel way. So like as you wear the blade away, as long as you're very careful in sharpening, it's not obvious that you've taken the blade down.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the biggest things for my production knife designs that I pay attention to too, is like the longevity of it. So like the choil is super important, but like the plunge grind too is like I've bought a bunch of knives where I sharpen it like twice, and then you start to get that like smile thing over here where like the edge curves back. That's a huge just pet peeve of mine personally. I understand why people do it, because when the knife's new, like it definitely looks like sleeker, right? Like there's less like taken out or whatever. But like this, if you look at like, I don't know how well you can see the shadow where that plunge actually ends, but like you're going to get so much life out of this blade without having that issue happen. And it's even same thing with this one. The prototype for the Pluto is like, you can sharpen this thing forever until the choil is basically gone. And you're still not going to have that
tall grind with a big choil equals, knife for 20 years.
Yeah.
What I mean? And that's probably another thing, like, going back to the PM2, like that's probably part of it is their tall flat grind goes all the way to the top of the blade. And incorporating that into your designs, like, I mean, that's something you want is, well, I would think, as a seller, not as a maker or not as a designer, but it'd be like, I want this knife to be in your hand for 20 years. Exactly. I want you to, like, when you think of a pocket knife, I want you to think of my knife. Or when you think of a hunting knife, I want you to think of my knife. Like, that's
not the time the clip broke or anything else, but the fact that the clip didn't break and you never had to think about it. Yeah. And by the time you get to the end of the choil and everything else, you're like, that was a good knife.
Yeah. I want you to be the guy that comes in here to the shop and he has a Benchmade 710 that hasn't been made in a decade, and he has it sharpened and it looks like a goddamn toothpick, but he still carries it because he loves that knife. It's like, I want that guy as my customer. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
We do have some comments here. So we got CS coming in. Greetings and appreciate NK and now MK. Munko Knives, I think, is what he's saying. Yes. Came across NK via Chook's videos a while back, and he did a video with Dakota, wondering if these artwork knives have a general name category. So if you go to Shop Customs on the website, it'll show everything that we've done as far as this is concerned. And then at the top, there'll be some additional subcategories, such as like the ColorfulFilth collaborations, just random anodizing that we've done in shop. I forget what it's called, but it's very obvious at the very top of the page.
If you do ColorfulFilth NK into Google, we should probably be first page. Most of it's all you, but I think we might show up first page.
Oh yeah, the product listings for sure.
I think also, I mean, if you can find your way to Paul's website, you can find your way to us. But
Howdy, NK, Paul Munko, all in here tonight. You've got to go to the dorks.
Yeah, Splitting Slices. How's it going, man? Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it.
Down in South Carolina.
I know him from the Knife Junkie podcast.
Oh, okay.
Good guy.
We got SC Knife Monkey as well, saying he's in Dwayne. CS is in Virginia. Blah blah blah. They're all talking about various different things that are not pertinent to what's going on.
No, they're saying hi to each other, man.
Yeah, relax. Basically. I know.
You know what I would love to know, the people who are in here, is like,
on topic. If
you were to pick anybody who's in the chat room, I don't know how many people are actually on right now, but what would you like to see from a knife standpoint, like recommendations on model? Because I feel like we honestly go through like a good amount of conversation about figuring out what the next one's going to be before we actually do something. And I would love to know like what people would be interested in, because we've talked like Kershaw before, ZT. We've talked. I get a lot of people who ask me to do like Senzas, but I would love to know
your waiting list. Like, come on, people, help us. You know what I mean? Well, so we've been reached out. So somebody has reached out to us with a titanium variation that I'll tell you about off camera. This is coming up on over a year since we talked to them the first time, and they reached out to us and like, hey, we want to be one of the projects. And we're like, okay, but we need all titanium, this and that. And they're like, okay, we'll let you know when they're available. So they reached back out to us probably, it was in 2024, so probably 6-7 months ago, and said, hey, we'll have them available. How many do you need? And I was like, well, we generally start minimum of 100, blah, blah, blah. So I'll reach back out. So the next one we might have lined up. But here's the problem with it is everyone's like, oh, you should do this. And it's like, but availability and like the titanium grade, and people don't understand what goes into it. Like I did this stupid shit around Anchorage. Everybody in Alaska freaks out when chain restaurants or chains come up here. Everybody, like, there was a waiting list at Olive Garden for like 6 months. Like, who the fuck sits on a waiting list at Olive Garden? And so I started making these fake coming soon banners. So I did one for Whole Foods, and I just put it on a construction site, and it like made the news. So I did one for In-N-Out. I did one for I've hung like Trader Joe's. So I've hung like I did one for the Lego store. That one made the news, and a kid.
That
cried
one got
on the
some
news.
People pissed
A
off.
kid cried
some
on the
soccer
news.
moms are like, "Who are these people?"
I felt real bad. So I've done a bunch of these, and everyone's like, oh, you should do this or you should do this. And it's like, but they don't understand. It's like, okay, you have to have a place to put it, and the place you put it has to make sense for the business that is coming. And we don't do vandalism, so I'm not screwing it to a building. It's got to be like zip tied to a fence. It's got to be, you know what I mean? It's like there's so many factors that go into picking.
It has to be harmless.
To sell this ridiculous bullshit. There's a lot of factors that go into it. And everybody, it's the same thing with these knives. It's like, it has to be available. It has to be affordable. It has to be the right quality of construction. It has to run within the timeline. We have to have a way to integrate, you have to have a way to get an inspiration for the artwork. It's like, it's not just pick a knife and draw something on it. Like that's 2 of the things of the 9 things we have to consider to make these.
Exactly.
And so many people have all these suggestions. It's like, okay, cool. If you have those suggestions, why don't you make 10 prototypes and send one to Paul and send one to us, and we'll do them.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. Even like, again, something as simple as like the contours, like looking at this, right? I don't know how well that's gonna, like, again, you have a very narrow area where, because you can't put art in like this part. Like it's just not going to work. You correct me if I'm wrong, but the concave aspect of it will kind of screw with the laser, right? Like you can't really get
a little bit. That's why the rings of Saturn are cut off on the bug out.
Right.
It would discolor, and it wouldn't laser right, and it wouldn't color correctly, and it just looked half-ass. And so it was like, it was either leave it half-ass or cut it off. And I know you don't like the decision to cut it off, and believe me, I wouldn't have if I didn't have to, but.
No, it worked out. It worked out, and but that is like just one of the considerations too. And like, I'm always open to like hear what people would be interested in. Like, I think a Senzas would be super cool. There's a ton of just really great models, and the other thing too is like you said, the affordability of it. I mean, granted, we're in collector knife space, so like nothing's really like affordable, But one thing that I love about working with you guys is like it's very easy for somebody to do a project like this and just charge an exorbitant amount because of what it is. But I feel like you guys make a conscious effort to really still think of the value aspect of it. Like we're getting a knife model that in and of itself is not cheap, right? And then we're getting custom titanium scales and then the work that's put into it. But I feel like you guys really make a point to make it fair. Yeah. And that's why I like working with you so much, is because I love seeing like stuff pop up on eBay and stuff, but like I almost feel bad if somebody's going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on something that we sold for $400. I wish you got in on the drop, but
it's like, it's like, and I feel bad that it's like you see it on the secondary market, somebody puts it on eBay for $900, but you're like, that's why you follow us,
right.
Because it's and that's the thing too is, and we're very conscious about the perception of numbers, and we find that a lot, especially with a lot of tourists we get up here, and we find out what people are comfortable with spending on something that means something to them. And there's cutoffs. The first cutoff is $400. The second cutoff is $600. After that, the next cutoff. And so at over $400, you lose about 75% of your audience. Over $600, you lose 75% of who's left. So by the time you get over 600 and up into 1,000, you're left with like 3% of people. And so like very realistically, there's some, like I want to say it was even the bailout, because we're sourcing the titanium in America and made from lynch, which is what we wanted to do. We really should have priced it at $425 if you go by the formula of all the other knives, but we do not want to do that. And so it's like, we should sell it at $425, but we're not going to do that. $399 is a much better price, and we're just going to screw it. We're going to take the hit, and we're doing it that, because that is a much better, it's forward facing to the customer. They don't know we're making that sacrifice. It doesn't matter. But when they see that, it's like, they think, okay, 400. But if you sell it at 425, they think 500. And that's a big ask of people.
Definitely.
We got to sell it cheaper than a Hinderer. We got to sell it cheaper than a Senzas. You know what I mean? It's got to be under that. Exactly.
And I love, again, I love that so much, because like I feel like making them, to a degree attainable, it still is, it's a decent amount of money, but I think it's a fair amount of money. And that just kind of reminds me of like when I got into the hobby in general, right? Like the people who got me into the hobby, I was talking to people on Reddit, and like I didn't have really anything back then. But I started getting really into this idea of like the industry and collecting, and like, you know, I couldn't really go out and buy a Benchmade, but I met some amazing people on Reddit, and like, you know, people literally sent me knives just to like check out because we became friends on Reddit and stuff, and like add to my collection. And like there's just always been, I think that's what made me gravitate towards the community so much in general and just like it so much, is that like everything should be attainable. Like everybody should be able to enjoy it to whatever degree they want to enjoy it. So it's really cool to hit that mark, you know. And I mean, granted, if we did do a Sebenza, obviously it's going to be more than that 400 price point. But you know, it's even, I know if we were to do something like that, it still would be relative to the price of the actual knife, something that's fair for whoever's going to buy it during that window. Whatever happens on eBay, good luck. But if you order that window, it'll be fair.
You know, I did do a Sebenza. So I had a personal Sebenza with a raindrop Damascus and a raindrop custom pattern.
It was Outrun,
on the
then
scale.
it was Vaporwave, then it was, some other thing.
It was Starry Night. If you Google, can I ask you to do this? Can you Google Starry Night?
Gorillas ripping faces off?
Gorillas ripping faces off. Put it right here.
Okay,
Boop.
yeah.
All right. So if you Google I think it's Van Gogh Starry Night Sebenza, it should be, you don't know how to spell Van Gogh, but that's all right.
That's okay.
It's Van Gogh. Hit images. So I did this was anyway, I'm losing track. Anyway, so I took the painting Starry Night. There it is. It's right there. So if you click on that, nope, there you go. So that's my Sebenza that I did. If we can add it in. So when we first started doing these, in order to kind of learn it and figure it out and make it a little better, you know what I mean? So I could get better at this. So I started taking other pictures and like trying to put them on things. And so I did this Starry Night Van Gogh Sebenza, which
that is so dope.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, and like and so like it, you know, so Sebenzas would be dope. Sebenzas are perfect for what we do. They're flat titanium scale. They're high quality titanium. They're the right size. Everything about them is perfect, except for the fact that you can't fucking get them, which really, really sucks, because it would be great. We've even done a custom project with Chris Reeve in the past. We did a Denali Sebenza, which was a custom anodized graphic on the side, which was Denali and the Big Dipper. It was like an Alaska themed one. And we did 2 runs of 12 knives a piece. We did 24 total. But it's the whole reason we kind of had to split ways with Chris Reeve is we did the first run and sold them and everything. And I'm going to be careful not to editorialize. I'm going to state only facts. We bought a second run. They sent us the second run. We mailed it out to all the people on the waiting list. And then Chris Reeve sent us an invoice for full retail and would not allow us dealer pricing. And so I sent them a check for dealer pricing, and I have not talked to them since. And that is all I'll say about that.
Gotcha.
But love their knives. I'm going to chalk it up to Clara. I don't care. No animosity, no nothing like that. I would love to work with them in the past. I've owned several. I still own one. You know, no big deal. But I mean, that would be Chris Reeve would be the holy grail of this project. I mean, it'd be $600, but
$800.
No. Here's the thing. Here's what these projects are. It's very much like when you say, everybody says, okay, you buy a house and your mortgage should be, 25% of your income. Well, that only works when you're poor. As you get richer, it doesn't fucking matter because not all the other bills scale.
Yeah.
So when you make $2 million a year, your mortgage could be 50% of your income because your power and your gas and your food, none of that shit goes up. At least not very much. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with the knife. Like we don't make our money on the Cerakoting and the anodizing as a percentage. We make it as a flat rate. So it's just added on to the price of the knife. So if the knife is $400 or the knife is $700, the price of modifying it never changes. So if you sell, you know what I mean? So it's like you sell a $100 knife, and then once you modify it, you got to sell it for $300. So if you sell a $400 knife, well, now you've got to sell it for $600. So a $600 knife goes to $800. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's categorical.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Definitely.
We got a few comments here before we call it good. Let's see here. Maybe some understated Asian tower Buddhist influence type of design is feasible.
Be interesting.
That'd be cool.
A little bit different.
Now, what'd be interesting is come up with a knife that fits that theme. That's cool.
Honestly, a Strider would be awesome. Yeah, that would be cool. I don't think he's too keen about people modifying his knives, though.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a relationship with Strider.
I would still love to do an Olamic at some point.
Oh, me too. I think Olamic's problem is not enough knives and too many people. Like, you can't get 100 knives out of Olamic if your life depended on it.
They're very boutique, and I love, they're doing their own modifications and their sort of stuff. So it's,
and their
but
shit
it would
is
be a cool platform.
It would be awesome to use an Olamic, but it's not in the cards. You know what I mean? It's like they can't scoop 100 knives out of their fucking inventory and hand them off to us. Like, we'd be skipping a line, and like they've already got those knives sold. Like at this point they're printing money. They're not gonna take some of their printed money and just hand it off to us.
Is another Boker feasible? Fully support the ZT idea.
I don't see. There's no problem with Boker for me. I mean, like I said, like Paul was saying earlier, it's like people have suggestions. We are open.
Yeah,
definitely.
Brown sugar.
Yeah, people keep saying sugar for some reason. I don't know why.
100 to 400 is helpful.
100 to 400 is helpful. Let's see here.
That's the at means you can skip it. It means they're talking to each other.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Come on, blah 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 blah.
All right. Are we catching up?
Yeah.
It looks like it looks like crosstalk amongst kids.
I do see a few.
I'd pay under $1,000 for ColorfulFilth Sebenza to be pretty okay with it.
Honestly, I'd pay under $1,000 for a ColorfulFilth Sebenza if that was a program.
Isn't that Sebenza?
So would I.
No, it's called the Starry Night. The painting by Van Gogh is called the Starry Night. It was my personal one. I sent it back to Chris Reeve for some warranty work. I can't remember why, and they fucking sent me a really shitty letter back telling me not to fuck with their stuff again. So maybe doing a Chris Reeve Sebenza would be nigh on impossible, I'm guessing.
When I what's funny, when I got when I first got the job that I'm still at now, and I started working at this marketing agency, the big thing that I wanted to like do for myself was get a Sebenza. So I bought, and I still have it, and I love it. I bought the from you guys. I got the 21 with the I think box elder inlays.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
I love that thing. It's a small one. It's so cool.
Yeah. I had a Sebenza, the mini Sebenza before they were even numbered, with a custom graphic. So for 1 year,
That dumb fan one.
So for 1 year, they had to switch over to a steel called BG42, which in layman's terms is called armor plating. So BG42 is made, it makes fantastic knives. The problem is the U.S. military gets first dibs, and anything they don't take, Boeing gets second dibs. So then you're allowed to go pick through Boeing's scrap pile and get. So for 1 year, Chris Reeve made Sebenzas out of BG42, and I had one. I got it from a buddy of mine. I recently sold it, I think, on the website for like $1,400 or something like that.
That's interesting.
Sought after. If it was a full size, it probably would have been double that price. Probably been.
I've never even heard of that steel before. That's interesting.
BG42, you can find it. Yeah, it's armor plating. It's fantastic shit. There's a local maker up here that used to insist on using nothing but BG42, and I couldn't figure out why. And after talking to him about it and some of the stories of, he told me one time a guy brought him a knife and was like, the knife that he made, and he's like, hey, I bought this knife from you. And he's like, I couldn't even skin one animal. Like, what's the problem? And so he goes, okay, well, tell me what happened. He goes, well, so I shot it, and he goes, ran up, and I cut the collar off. And he goes, you what? And he goes, yeah, I cut the collar off. He goes, so that's a tagged animal. He goes, those collars are steel braided line inside the plastic. And he goes, so I guess it did pretty good if it cut a steel braided collar off of an animal and then still skinned it.
That's crazy.
That kind of sold me on BG42. I was like, yes, BG42 is pretty good shit.
Is that your favorite like steel right now in general, or do you guys have a favorite?
I would say I have a fondness for it. I wouldn't want to make anything out of it only because the nightmares of sourcing it and being consistent with it. Right now, S45 I like because it's a balance of utility and price. I don't feel it has the hype that S35 had. I don't feel like you pay the premium for it, but it's every bit the performer of LMAX. And the price, the raw price on LMAX has went from, here's a little bit of inside baseball. So LMAX used to cost about $20 a pound. For reference, D2 would cost $8 a pound. M390 costs $30 a pound. LMAX now costs the same as M390. So I don't feel there's any reason to buy LMAX when M390 and 20CV are right there. S45 is less than $20 a pound. Same performance as LMAX. As far as I'm concerned, they're damn near, blindfolded. You can't tell the difference. I think S45 for buying steel like I do by the pound. I feel like your money is best spent on S45. And if you're going to go higher, just go straight to the top. Go to 20CV, go to M390, skip Maximate, skip MagnaCut. I'm done buying MagnaCut knives. They're fine, but I'm paying a premium for what I feel is a mediocre steel.
Do you like LC200N?
I do. You know what it feels like to me is CPM 154. So genuine, nice, crucible-made 154 back in the day with a really good heat treat. LC200N feels like that. So where you get really good usability, not going to kill you to resharpen it, and also physically can't chemically rust. I think that's a big bonus.
I love that. Because I'm in New England, and we're near the water, and
exactly.
That's super cool.
Yeah, we get the same thing here in Alaska. It's like it's like, oh, I need a knife for the boat. I was like, this one. It's titanium and LC200. It'll never rust. Leave it in a bucket of salt water. It literally won't rust.
Yeah, ceramic detent ball. It's just completely, it's impervious.
Exactly.
Do these custom art knives hold up okay for general use, opening boxes, cutting lines?
What?
I mean, it's the same as the base knife. The only difference is you're going to wear away the Cerakote a little bit.
It's not the same as the base knife. In many cases, they are tougher. Tougher than the base knife.
Oh,
tougher than the base knife.
That's true. Titanium
tougher
scales.
Than the base knife.
Yeah.
So generally, a lot of them are upgraded to meet our purposes. So the Bugout is definitely tougher than the base knife. The paramilitary is tougher than the base knife. The Bailout is definitely tougher than the base knife. So yes, 100%.
Yeah, and one of the things I've noticed too is, again, all the ones that I have are in glass, right? Like I'm not really using them, and I think a lot of people buy them to kind of have them, right? Like not
few people carry them,
to use them. But other knives that I have that are anodized for coloration and stuff, like it fades, but you hit it with some Windex. It take 2 seconds to do it, and it's like right back to brand new. So
Windex and a toothbrush I found works fantastic. So almost everything we send out, the last thing I do is put on gloves, hit it with Windex, and clean it with a toothbrush, and then hit it with compressed air, and then with the gloves, put it in the plastic, and then put it in the box. So there's no oils or anything on it.
I think the pry bars we send out in sealed bags.
Yeah, the pry bars we send out in sealed bags, so nothing can fuck with them.
Yeah. It's smart.
Some of ours are a little faded and stuff, but it's just because we didn't toothbrush Windex them before we brought them down.
No, the wind and the same thing works for. I know it's a different process, but Timascus too. Like it gets cloudy super quick, but you hit that with a Windex, it looks like you're looking into a light bulb of like colorful light. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've kind of reached top of the comments.
Top of the hour. Top of the comments.
hour.
All right. Should we go on a high note here?
Yeah.
To all you 20 motherfuckers, 19 motherfuckers still hanging out, thank you very much. We appreciate it. If anybody's got a last second question, let us know. Paul, if you got anything you want to plug or shout out or anything that we skipped or you need to feel like you need to say.
Yeah, no, totally. I just want to, thank everybody again for supporting these projects. I mean, I can't even do the counting in my head right now because how many have we done so far? Has it been what?
9.
So we're
9,
so
1
10,
failed.
10 has
No,
to be.
no, the ZP is included in that.
Oh, okay. All right. So we got
So
10 will be a big deal. But just the fact that we've had the opportunity to do as many of these as we have so far, and how it started, right? I mean, the fact that we met each other on Reddit because you guys were doing a giveaway for like random art, dinosaur muskets, like it's just it's so crazy. And that was what 5-6 years ago at this point. Like it's
I mean, our studio was still upstairs. We used a 20-sided die. I remember I liked
2019.
Was it 2019?
2018,
I remember I
2019.
liked your design the best. So even though, and by the way, Dinosaur Muskets is a friend of mine. He comes in the shop all the time. Know him. But I liked your design better. So I remember engraving it on a dog tag or something. And it sent you a picture of it. You're like, wait, you can do that? And I was like, yeah. And you're like, let's do a knife. I was like, fuck it, let's go.
Yep.
I got a bunch of Kaisers. Do we try it on that?
Hell yeah. And I still have that. The dog tag that you sent me. It's just
nice.
It's just crazy like how it started. That was when I was really kind of first getting into the hobby, really. Like, I mean, I was super nerding out. I was dorking out at all the knife subreddits, and I'm still on there all the time. Actually, this is a random bit of trivia, but if you use Knife Swap on Reddit, when I first got into the hobby, I the logo that they use for like I did that like forever ago.
That was the logo I burned on the dog tag, wasn't it? It has the little swap. It has the arrows on the skull.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. So it's just crazy, but like from where it started and the fact that it's not like it's this huge deal, but the fact that there's still people here who are interested in it, the fact that like people still support these projects, it means the world to me, man. Because all the art stuff I do, like the skateboards, the stuff that we work on together, it's all for the love of it. It's the same reason that like I've never made music a career, is just because it's like so much fun, and I don't want to ruin it by like, this is my job now. So, but it's just so cool to be able to like, talk to everybody who's interested in it and just still have that level of support. And, I love it. I appreciate it. And obviously you guys have been awesome to work with on all these projects. And it's just, it's crazy. It's just crazy that this exists in my hand right now. It's so much fun.
It's kind of an amazing, to take your hobby from 6 years ago to your hobby to now, like, I know it's not your full-time job, but it's like, you are like on your business card, it says knife designer. You know what I mean? Like in 6 years, you did that. Like that is phenomenal. Like I've been doing it for 13 years and I can barely put that on my business card.
I appreciate that, man. And what's crazy too is like really the catalyst for all of that and me reaching out to Quazar was because of the first project that we worked on. And it was because I had a sentimental attachment to Quazar, because that was the first knife project that I really worked on that people were actually able to get, right? Like I've worked with manufacturers, with designers to help them with like merchandise and things. And I still love doing that. It's so much fun. But the Quazar Uprising was the first thing that I ever did that was something that somebody who was a collector like me could buy. And I mentioned that when I talked to Quazar, and it just they gave me a really amazing opportunity to come out with the comment, and like it got awesome support from the get-go. And it's just like it's just all related, right? So all this stuff's related, but I still have no idea how to make a fucking Munko knives and ColorfulFilth one thing. But everything's
all titanium knife. We will do it on the next project. All we need to do is take the Quazar. All we need to do is take the Quazar. It's got titanium scales. We take the bolster off. We Cerakote the bolster, put the bolster back on. We make it, bleed into the design of the titanium scale. We do a Quazar.
Right. Exactly. Dude, it's literally that easy. And I could start that conversation, or even I'll design something specifically for this. I'll call it like the canvas. And we'll do something cool with it.
Why are you sticking to the Quaalude so hard?
I don't know. We need more Countoshes.
All right. We've got to say goodbye because I'm going to piss myself.
Okay. All right. So on that high note, we'll see you guys.
Thanks everybody for joining us.
We'll see you guys on the
Paul,
first
Saturday. We'll see you off camera in a second.